Hey, what's going on? It's time for the second installment of our ongoing coverage of Warhammer Online. The game's been on shelves for about a week now. The servers have been live for coming up on a full week here, and we'll check in with the guys and see how they've been progressing.
Yo, Jam Mom.
Unlike Dave and Andy, I picked a character right from the get-go, enjoyed playing it, and have just stuck with that one character. So I'm playing a Marauder, which is on the Chaos side, which is part of Destruction. The whole, like, 3 races, 2 faction, like what's a race, what's a faction, like that's still trying to kind of wrap my mind around that. But yes, Marauder, which is Chaos, which is part of Destruction, which is fighting the Empire, which is part of Order.
You know, I started last week playing a squig herder with Dave. He was playing a shaman, and we're playing on a kind of high pop server, and Badlands, and the queue times are absolutely horrible. 30 minutes to log in at prime time. And so I got kind of frustrated with that. I decided, well, you know, I'm going to go over to another server with a couple other friends and say, you know, hey to them, roll up a different character over there. So I rolled a Magus over there.
Is it Magus or Magus?
I don't know. I'm going to call it Magus.
Just dude on a desk. That's what I'd call it. Like the annoying dude on a desk.
And then a buddy came over the weekend and rolled a Black Orc on my account. He's thinking about playing as well. So
basically you have just re-rolled like 5 characters at this point?
4.
What's your highest character?
I think the level 7 squig herder.
Which I would call pathetic.
When I started the game, I started on Badlands. Apparently it was where all the cool kids were hanging out. And immediately after the game launched, they hit huge population crunches, and Badlands had a server queue of about half an hour. I didn't want to wait half an hour to play the game. And Mythic had a kind of a good idea, I guess. They took all the characters from these high population servers, there were like 4 or 5 of them that had this problem, and just cloned all the characters to new servers. So like Badlands got cloned to Mordheim and so on and so forth. The only problem is it seems like no one bothered to go over to the new server. I feel like I was tricked or something. Like, dude, yeah, I just want to play the game. You know, it's like I could sit here and watch this counter tick down from 31 minutes, or I could just go gain levels. But it's like the characters are separate, so it's not like my progress over here has any impact on the old server. So now this cloned version is really the main version, because I've leveled him up to level 15, and I still have some level 5 guy back on this old server that I'm probably never going to play again.
So you're doing your normal thing, like what you did, the exact same thing in WoW. You just re-roll characters to try and figure out which one's the best.
Well, I knew what I wanted to play in WoW, though, because I played the beta a bit more extensively. Right. So I started off playing a priest, and I, you know, leveled up that.
But here you're looking basically for the best min-max PvP player.
I'm looking for one that I feel that I can compete with, you know, very effectively, yes.
I really don't like fighting other players in most games, especially like the whole PvP server thing of I'm over here trying to do quests, someone's going to camp that area for the next 2 hours because they feel like it. Like, that's not a good game experience, and that's largely because I play these games pretty much alone.
I don't really grasp yet what kind of RVR they're actually going for. Like, is it all instance-based in these scenarios? Or are there a lot of open world objectives like there were in Dayak, where you had all these, you know, open realms that people just fought over constantly and had like large Zerg fights?
I've seen some open world stuff, and it looks kind of cool. The things that I like about it is that they're trying to put quests within, like PvE quests, within these open world Arbor, you know, realm versus realm areas.
There's also kind of open world contested PvP areas where people are trying to gain control of a capture point. You know, it's like straight up, you know, Unreal, you know, first person shooter style, where it's like I'm gonna stand near this flag, and the longer I do that, the further this bar will fill up until our side controls it. And then when that happens, it locks for like 15 minutes, and it gets like 5 guards standing around it, so that you know, if the enemy comes and tries to attack, it'll, you know, they'll have to fight their way to it.
Even with like a huge pop server where you're running into, you know, queue times, I still see like a lot of these areas just kind of like ghost lands, and it looks like something's going on because this game, one thing I've noticed is there's tons of NPCs. like all over the place.
Okay.
Like just random NPCs that are kind of fighting each
There's
other.
more than in WoW?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Not just like NPCs that you're going to talk to, but like fighting world NPCs that are just there.
Okay.
So like they're basing a lot of this content around these areas that look, you know, hugely populated, but it's really just like a lot of NPCs that are fighting.
But as you're fighting players and doing stuff that helps out your side, you get these Renown points, and that's a separate rank. So I'm like Renown rank 9, I think now, and that's just been from, you know, killing other players, jumping into scenarios, and just kind of doing stuff as it comes naturally.
I'd say in general, I'm really, really liking Warhammer. The only thing I don't like about Warhammer is the combat. Like the actual, and it's just little things. Like right now, the things that are bothering me the most on Warhammer are the animations and the spell casting, which seem like very off.
Yeah.
Like it, not like, I mean, it's just...
They're pretty bad.
The casting bar doesn't seem to have anything to do with like the actual like animations that you're doing. So like your eye can't really adjust. You know, it's hard to judge a game, you know, on, you know, Warcraft and like this 4-year-old system that they've like really tweaked. But right now, like that's the biggest problem that I have. Like the other one that's having a problem is like within the, you know, just the PvE stuff when you're like casting and trying to pull in an enemy. It's like he'll stick in a spot. I don't know if you had that problem with your squid.
Yeah,
he'll stick and then immediately just like show up next to you, like he used a teleport spell
or weird pathing issues where if they start around like an object that they'll path around it a couple times before they make it to you.
Yeah,
I've seen that as well.
The other thing that we talked about this earlier, but the thing that we're really worried about is that melee characters could potentially be very overpowered in this game because of the CC or crowd control.
Yeah.
Basically looks pretty looks limited.
Yeah, it seems like there's some roots and some snares, but from what I read, that the characters will eventually build up immunity to those.
I've started seeing them, but the things that I've seen is that they're mostly morale. I mean, not mostly, but at least the ones that I can use for a shaman until like real late in the game are morale abilities, which means that it's something that I can really only use every 60 seconds and like in the middle of like some huge fight.
Right.
Which means 60 seconds is a long time in a PvP match.
Yeah.
So I'm really worried. Like I've got AoEs and I've got a lot of HOTs, you know, so I'm fine. Heal over time and, you know, damage over time, dots and stuff. But I can't, I'm really worried about keeping the melee guys off me, because it also seems that Warhammer, the melee guys have just a huge amount of health. Like,
definitely.
Now, it seems that they're trying to counter that by having a much larger range of like the actual casters. Like it seems the actual range, you can throw, you know, whatever your direct damage spells
off by the time
but
gets to you.
I mean, it's really far away. And it seems that they've even, the nice thing that I've seen is that in some of the actual, what are their battlegrounds called? I can't even remember. The scenarios. Yeah. The scenarios, they've actually like tailored the maps to account for that. So like the greenskin one, it's like the Battle of Ekrond or whatever. It'll have like exactly the range of a spell is exactly the range of that gap between. So like, you know, you're throwing and you can easily move back and forth, and that's how they counter melee characters. But I don't see how you would do that, you know, in like open world type stuff. It kind of worries me a little bit.
So the game has this tome of knowledge thing, and it's kind of, it seems like it's the design, so it's a cross between two things. Like in my mind, it's very clearly the Encyclopedia from Viva Pinata, because it gives you like the storyline of the game. Like as you would play Viva Pinata, it would unlock additional chapters, and the same thing happens here, only it's just like, you know, written about Warhammer or something. And it tells you pretty much exactly what's going on. It's like, here are all the creatures you've encountered, here's how many you've killed, here are the achievements you've done for killing them, and all this kind of data about your experience with the game that kind of fills out and completes as you play, like just like Viva Pinata. But then on top of that, it seems like it's also designed to prevent you from having to rely on other websites and all these external clients and stuff. So if you look at like World of Warcraft, my experience with World of Warcraft was like almost solely defined by Thoughtbot, by like alt-tabbing out to Thoughtbot, going like, where the hell am I going? Okay, here's where the dot is on the map, let's go there, and like just running from point A to point B. They take that and put some of it directly into the game itself, but not in that exact of a manner, so it doesn't feel like cheating. You know, when you get a quest, it'll light up, it'll like actually kind of just color a certain part of the map, which I actually didn't really notice at first. I was like, why is the map all stained? Did someone pour coffee on my map? Why can't I see where the hell I'm supposed to be? Oh wait, those stains are where I'm supposed to be going. So they actually point out kind of the general areas of where you're supposed to go and where you're supposed to find NPCs, or, you know, if you're supposed to be like out trying to find specific types of mushrooms or kill specific types of trolls. It tells you pretty much exactly where they are, and that's really handy and prevents you from, you know, sitting there with a laptop open the whole time going like, okay, where's this chain? Where's this quest chain to? What am I doing? Where do I go to get the good stuff? Like, it just kind of streamlines that and kind of keeps you in the game. So that all seems pretty smart, I guess.
So you're thinking you're gonna stick with it?
Yeah, for a little bit yet, at least. I'm definitely been switching back and forth to WoW, you know, just getting like arena games in, you know, but then, you
So
know,
what are you
coming back
doing
and
on your
actually
WoW
playing.
character right now?
Just playing arenas.
Are you back in gladiator gear, or are you?
Oh yeah, full gladiator.
Oh yeah. Top, you know, 0.5% of players in the world or something, but you know, you're fine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The question I keep having now is like, am I gonna stick with Warhammer? And I think back to, I mean, you know, I've played 4 or 5 MMOs here and there, and you know, obviously the one I spent the most time with was World of Warcraft. But even with that, it was like eventually I got to a point where I'm like, you know, I can't play this anymore because I can't progress in the method that I can't play the way I like to play and still really have a meaningful experience and still kind of progress in a meaningful way. Obviously, World of Warcraft has changed a lot since then, so a lot of the things I'm liking about Warhammer, I get the impression are things that were added to World of Warcraft after I stopped playing. But that said, like you know, it's a good launch. It's a game that works. It's a game that's fun. I'm into the world, even if I don't necessarily understand where Warhammer comes from or really necessarily care about where Warhammer came from. But it's kind of fun to watch things develop and fun to kind of see where all these different chapters and stuff are leading. And I think I'm going to stick with it, at least for the foreseeable future. But, you know, yeah, I think I'll eventually probably hit a wall just like I did with World of Warcraft and be like, all right, yeah, this game was fun, but I'm not going to like sit here and grind it out for the rest of my life.
That's basically our impressions for, you know, week 2 of Warhammer.
Yeah.
Probably by next week we'll have some, you know, comments on a lot of the more, you know, mature abilities. Maybe you'll roll like 7 more characters from that on?
I think I'm going to roll a Disciple of Cain, actually, and try that class out.
No,
and
and
pick from one of those 4.
Yeah, all right.
I'll
So in a week we should have some more for you, and hope everybody else is having fun out there. We are.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Absolutely. Later.